We're counting down the minutes to the first pitch of today's game.
Yes!
Who's in the starting lineup?
Come on, son, you got to get out there and take the mound. It's game time.
What does the skipper have to say?
It's an attitude, you got to be willing to defend. You got to be willing to base run, or you can't play here.
It's the leadoff show with Tommy Wortz on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome into the leadoff show. Tommy Wortz here with you live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Milwaukee Brewers back in action today for Game 2 against the Chicago Cubs. It's the Miz, Jacob Mizorowski on the bump for Milwaukee, going up against Ben Brown of the Chicago Cubs. A 6:40 first pitch from Wrigley in Chicago, Illinois. Game number 46 of the season. Two of the best records in all of baseball coming up here. 29-19 for Chicago, 27-18 for Milwaukee. Just a half game. By the end of the night, the Crew could be in the lead in the NL Central, and here's the lineup trying to do that today.
Looking up, and it is gone.
It's almost time for the first pitch. Let's see who's in today's starting lineups. Brought to you by Lakeland University. Experience it your way. Visit lakeland.edu. It's the leadoff show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Thanks to Lakeland University for being a part of the leadoff show all season long. Experience it your way, lakeland.edu. First up for Chicago today, Nico Horner will lead things off. He's the second baseman. Michael Busch at first base will bat second. Alex Bregman at third base will bat third. Ian Happ in left field in the cleanup spot for Chicago. Seiya Suzuki in right field will bat fifth. Moises Ballesteros is the DH, batting sixth. Dansby Swanson at shortstop will bat seventh today. Pete Crow Armstrong is batting eighth, and in center field, Miguel Amaya catching will round things out for Chicago. Jackson Chourio going to lead off for Milwaukee, play left field today. Bryce Terang at second base will bat second. William Contreras is catching and batting third. Christian Yelich, the DH, will bat fourth. Garrett Mitchell in center field, batting fifth. Jake Bauers at first base will bat sixth. Luis Rengifo, the third baseman, batting seventh today. Sal Frelick in right field, batting eighth. Rounding things out, the shortstop batting ninth. It'll be David Hamilton. Kind of interesting that after the day yesterday, there was a lefty on the mound in Shota Imanaga. We'll get into the rewind in a little bit here. But no Andrew Vaughn in the lineup today, moving Bauers back to first base. Garrett Mitchell going to bat fifth and play center field. Now, yes, you guessed it, through 46 games, the Brewers, 46 different lineups. Just doesn't even seem possible. Almost impressive to this point from manager Pat Murphy. As we brought up there, the Brewers 27-18, just a half a game behind the Chicago Cubs, 29-19. Every team over 500 or better, at least, still in the National League Central. The Cardinals just a game back of Chicago and a half game back of Milwaukee, 27-19. Pittsburgh 24-23, and Cincinnati 24-24 through this point in the season. The Brewers 14-5 over their last 19 games, including 9-2 over their last 11 contests now. And the Brewers are 5-0-1 in the last 6 series, including 3 consecutive wins. They have a chance for a fourth today. But that means they must have done well in game 1. If you missed any of the action, I am sorry for you, but we're going to go over it in the first segment on the Rewind.
Did you miss the last game? Did you miss what was said after the last game? It's time to rewind. It's the leadoff show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Brandon Sproat versus Shota Imanaga on the bump. The pitching matchup yesterday. A 1-2-3 inning for Imanaga against Chourio, Terang, and Contreras. A little bit of trouble, a little bit of traffic. 2 walks to lead off the bottom part of the first for Brandon Sproat. However, a line out, a strikeout, and a fly out to Bregman, Happ, and Suzuki would cause for the Cubs to come away with nothing. On the first pitch of the second inning, Shota Imanaga tried. Christian Yelich made him pay.
And not interested in looking ahead either. So sorry to interrupt. Here's Yelly going deep to make it 1-0 Brewers. Asserts himself into this series. His second home run in as many days.
Highlights courtesy of Brewers TV. 2 home runs in 2 days for Yelich, his third on the year. Bottom part of the second, much cleaner for Sproat. A strikeout to Conforto, a strikeout to Kelly, and getting PCA to ground out to shortstop, a 1-2-3 bottom part of the second. Jump ahead to the fourth. That's when the Brewers would be threatening again. William Contreras would lead off the inning with a single. Christian Yelich grounds out to first base. That moves over William. Then an infield single from Andrew Vaughn, a much bigger hit in this inning than people gave it credit for. There were runners at the corners, and Jake Bauers was up at the plate.
And a ground ball back up the middle, a base hit. Vaughn makes the turn. He's headed for third. The throw goes to the cutoff man. Bauers drives in a run to make it 2-0.
2-0 after a Jake Bauers RBI single. More highlights to come from him later on. Rengifo would strike out. There were now 2 outs in the inning. Sal Frelick, let's get a 2-out rally going.
Frelick bangs one down the left field line. It's a fair ball headed towards the corner. That scores Vaughn. Bauers is on the move around third. Swanson just getting to it. No throw. It's a 2-run double by Sal.
Sal Frelick's 2-run double there in the fourth inning. Over his last 7 games, Sal bumping his average up to 276 with 5 runs batted in, 8 hits in that time for Frelick. And the Brewers were not done in the fourth inning. Jackson Churio tacking another on.
Line shot into center, a base hit. That'll score another run. Throw goes to third. It's cut off. 5-0 Brewers.
The Brewers would put up a 4 spot in the top part of the fourth inning. They led 5-0. Jumping ahead to the top of the fifth, they were not done yet. Christian Yelich draws a 1-out walk, then a double by Andrew Vaughn as Christian Yelich makes it over to third base, and Jake Bauers an exclamation point.
And a drive to right. This ball is hammered way back and gone. A 3-run shot for Bauers, and the Brewers have put up a snowman at Wrigley. My, oh my, was that ball touched.
The Brewers would be leading 8-0 through the top of the fifth. The bottom part of the fifth, Dansby Swanson, a 2-run homer, and Michael Busch, a double, would put up a 3 spot in the bottom half. That would be the only runs the Cubs would score in the ball game, as the Brewers would tack on 1 more in the sixth, thanks to Christian Yelich and this double right here.
They were hit hard enough.
Yelich pops up, shallow left. This one is down, fair. Gets away from Happ, but Contreras will stop at third. It's a double for Yelich. Another run scores.
Brandon Sproat would be relieved in that fifth inning. He went 4 2/3, 3 earned runs, 3 hits allowed, 5 strikeouts on 78 pitches. Sproat's ERA down to 5.75 now, but Shane Drowan would come in, pitch 4 1/3, finish the ball game, 4 hits allowed, 5 strikeouts, no walks, no runs in the game against the Cubs. His ERA down to 2.57 as the Brewers tack on their 27th win of the season, a high watermark of 9 games over 500, and end the Cubs' 15-game winning streak at Wrigley Field.
Who was the MVP of the last game for the Crew? Who stood out the most? Let's find out. It's the Leadoff Show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Okay, so realistically, Jake Bauers, MVP of the game. He was. 2 hits, 2 runs scored, 4 runs driven in. His team-leading 7th home run of the season, a big one that we just heard in the 5th. But also not to be slept on, Shane Drowan's 4 1/3 to save the bullpen all series for the Milwaukee Brewers. And Drowan's the guy who spoke to the media after the game. So here he is, Shane Drowan, after picking up his 2nd big league win.
Shane, did you have the inkling tonight that it might be a long one?
Yeah, I kind of always prepare for that. I'm always more surprised on the shorter ones. So just prepare for the most, and then if they surprise you with just a quick one, then great.
How do you
handled the role that you've been in? I mean, it's been a little bit of a transition. I'm sure you pitched well in it. Do you enjoy it?
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're pitching in the big leagues. Like, what's not to enjoy? But yeah, it just goes back to, like I've said before, like sticking to the routine. Being mindful of the preparation and what goes into getting guys out, and what their lineup struggles with, and which of my pitches are going to play best, and then just going out there and executing.
You saw Chad do it the other day.
Mm-hmm.
That's got to be, like, as a teammate, a cool thing to see, because the impact it has for the rest of the group.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially early on in the series, it just sets us up so well. We kind of can just be really flexible for these next 2 games. So, thankful to be that guy.
What are your first impressions of Cubs? I mean, it's obviously a big game every time these 2 teams play.
Yeah, it was awesome. Getting out there early work just to see the stadium and everything was really cool. And it's Wrigley Field, so everybody knows it. But once you get the call, you just get locked in and then just go out there and pitch.
Did Charlie tell you to finish the game? That's what he said to Chad the other night.
He did not.
Okay.
He did not. But that's the mindset. Yeah.
There is Shane Drowan after the Brewers 9-3 win over the Chicago Cubs in Game 1. Christian Yelich as well speaking after on how he felt after his second home run in as many days.
You kind of charged atmosphere. Do you feel like homering there and scoring first is kind of a tone setter in a game like today?
I mean, kind of. I think kind of had a feeling it was going to be an offensive game just based on, what the wind was doing here. It's always a huge factor when we play here. So, we knew we had to score. It was nice to get out there first. And, Spreader did great, kept him down early, and we were able to just add on.
What has Jake meant to this offense? With all the injuries and everything, another big game for him.
Yeah, he's been raking all year. He's unbelievable in spring training, and then just kind of carried it into the season. And he's been holding it down. We've had guys in and out of the lineup, but he's been pretty constant, and huge reason why we've been winning games.
I assume you had a point in your career where you had to earn those ABs against lefties. What does it do for a player when you get those chances and then it pays off?
Yeah, I mean, I think sometimes like lefty is overblown. I think there's certain matchups obviously where it's a little tougher, but yeah, I mean, just to get the opportunities and be able to go out there and produce has been huge. He did it last year. He's done it the last few years, honestly. And, it was nice to see him in there today, and he took advantage of it.
Christian, when the lineup is long and as productive as it's been, I mean, how good can this offense be?
Yeah, I mean, it's just passing the baton to each other, and, it was a lot of good at-bats tonight over and over, and got some hits with 2 outs and runners in scoring position, and we're able to add on. And, JB's big homer and Sal's hit was huge too, just to get that ball in the corner there and lengthen the lead a little bit.
How are you feeling, and how does it feel to play the way you've done the last 2 games? Runs.
Yeah, I feel good. It's nice to be back out there with the guys.
Do you need that early, or does it? I mean, you 2-0 for 4s, you probably wouldn't be panicking, obviously.
Yeah,
but.
I mean, it's always tough when you're in and out of the lineup. It's hard to get in a rhythm, but you try to work hard leading up to getting back into it so you can hopefully shorten that little rusty stretch. My first couple at bats yesterday felt a little strange, just being back in there, and then as the game kind of went on, just settled in a little bit, and just felt kind of normal again.
Christian Yelich speaking after the game. Those 2 clips courtesy of Adam McCalvey on Twitter. It is the leadoff show. Tommy Wortz here with you, getting you ready for Brewers Cubs Game 2 after the Brewers win 9-3 over Chicago at Wrigley Field yesterday. 3 night games. Jacob Mizorowski on the bump going up against Ben Brown of the Chicago Cubs. After the game was over, manager Pat Murphy speaking on the crew's performance.
Well, I mean, we did some good things tonight for sure. We swung the bat against a very good pitcher. We had a good approach, and we did some great things. I mean, Yelly hitting that first ball out of the park certainly makes everybody relax when your leader's on it. Then obviously other guys fall into place, but we had some great efforts. Bowers was incredible again. He's been swinging the bat incredibly good, and Churio and Vaughn, and Frelick gets the big hit there. Joey Ortiz had a great game, but our pitching staff was the name of the game. Sproat doing what he did, and Drone. I mean, those guys are two basically rookies and guys we got in trade. So hats off to the front office for getting the right type of guy that knows what being a winner is. And yeah, they were great.
Murph, you did that a couple of days ago in Minneapolis too with two guys. How does that change everything for the next couple of days? And was it something you thought going in again might be an option?
Yeah, I mean, it's like the A-ball tandem. You know what I mean? Back in A-ball, you did the tandem, and you let them both go. So it doesn't always work that way, but it is kind of a neat concept especially for young pitchers. But that was the plan going in. Drone was, we know, Sprode at 75, 80 pitches. That's kind of a mark that he's shown that's really kind of where he's at. And then to have Drone come in, and he's very capable of going 60, 70 himself. So we felt very comfortable keeping him going like we did with Chad Patrick the other day. And who did he come in for?
He followed before Gasser. It was Henderson.
Yeah, another guy that's 75 to 80. So, yeah, it's our A-ball tandem concept.
Or how impressed have you been with Drone?
Very
getting
impressed.
acclimated to this role.
His
now.
poise, and making pitches. He's very capable. Fastball, cutter, curveball, slider, very capable. Since spring training, And again, he had the hiccup in his first outing at Boston, but it's 32 degrees, can't grip the baseball, and it wasn't. And he's facing his former team, the whole thing. But I even think in that game he showed signs. But yeah, he's another great pickup.
What does it say about where Bowers is at that he does this, in a game against a lefty where maybe he wouldn't normally be in there?
Yeah, you're right. My concept of left on left, I've talked to you guys about. It makes your team better if the lefties can handle lefties. And we showed that tonight because Bowers, Frelick, Yelich, Bryce had 3 solid at bats himself. So our lefties were good tonight.
How good does it feel to have Yelich back in the lineup and doing what he does like this?
Yeah, I mean, of course, that's what it's all about. He's our leader and makes the rest of the group calm. You don't win a game like this without somebody like that leading the charge in terms of temperament and approach.
What does it mean to set the tone in this series the way you guys did tonight here in game 1?
I mean, we know how these series go. You erase it and just keep going. It's not necessarily a game where they're going to ever be intimidated by guys. They don't even know most of our guys' names. You know what I mean? So they're never going to be intimidated by us. But we're not looking for that. We're looking for just turn around and play good again. And for us to, it's a long season. We're 45 or 46 games in. And it's a long season. So we're just looking to continue to improve any way we can. And I'm proud of our guys. Like I've said all year, I trust these guys. But we got to get better. There's no question. And we got a very young pitching staff. So we've got to have games where we have 5 ABs. When the lineup turns over 5 times, then good things are happening.
There is the manager, Pat Murphy, after the Brewers' victory yesterday in Game 1. You heard a couple of mentions there. Christian Yelich, Jake Bowers, some sound coming up from him on the other side of this as we get into our preview of game number 2 between the Brewers and the Cubs. Jacob Mizorowski joining the Baseball Tonight podcast earlier in the week. It was on Sunday, I believe. Talked about a couple of cool stories from where he, was and now is in Major League Baseball. Even top prospect Connor Griffin joining in to ask him a few questions during the podcast as well. That comes up in a little bit. We'll get in our Eye on the Enemy feature, how Jacob Mizorowski has done against the Chicago Cubs in his history, as well as who's hot. We have checking in on the Potawatomi Sportsbook to come up as well. Keys to the game will conclude things. and some more news in the minor leagues with our Building a Winner feature. It is the leadoff show live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Looking up, and it is gone.
It's almost time for the first pitch. Let's see who's in today's starting lineups. Brought to you by Lakeland University. Experience it your way. Visit lakeland.edu. It's the leadoff show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back to the leadoff show. Tommy Wortz here with you live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Lineup for the Brewers today as they gear up for Chicago, game number 2. Jackson Churio is in left field leading things off. Bryce Terang at second base will bat second. William Contreras catching, bats third. Christian Yelich, the DH, in the cleanup role for Milwaukee today. Garrett Mitchell will play center field, bat fifth. Jake Bowers plays first base, and he will bat sixth. Luis Rengifo at third, batting seventh. Sal Frelick in right field will bat eighth. David Hamilton, the shortstop, rounds things out, bats ninth for the Crew.
Nobody likes them.
Craig Counsell returning to American Family Field.
We all want to see them lose.
It's not my job to tell people how to feel about something, or even to figure it out. Let people feel how they want to feel, and I'm good with that, and I think it doesn't have to be all positive.
It's time to eye up the enemy for today's game. It's the leadoff show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Eye on the enemy. Taking a look at the pitching matchup for today. Jacob Mizorowski going up against Ben Brown. Brown against the Brewers. 2-0, an ERA of 1, 19 strikeouts in 3 appearances in his career against Milwaukee. He transitioned over to the bullpen and then made his way back to the starting rotation for the Cubs this year. This will be just his third start of 2026. Brown has a pretty good history against the Brewers, allowing 2 earned runs his last time around against them in June of 2025. And his first 2 outings before that had not allowed any runs in 13 innings of work. Jacob Mizorowski, however, on the bump for Milwaukee, 3-2, a 2.12 ERA this season. Last time around, he pitched against the San Diego Padres in a no-decision 3-1 loss. Remember, that was the Abner Uribe, Gavin Sheets 3-run homer in the 9th inning, and the Miz was phenomenal in that game. 7 innings, 4 hits, 10 strikeouts, and he left the game with the 1-0 lead. Against the Cubs in his career, the Miz is 0-1 with a 5.63 ERA in 2 starts. That's 8 innings, 5 earned runs, 12 strikeouts in that time. However, he was 2-0 with a 1.29 ERA in 2 relief appearances in last year's NLDS, in which he only gave up 1 run in 7 innings of work with 7 strikeouts. Since the month of May, Jacob Mizorowski has not allowed a run. It's 18 1/3 consecutive scoreless innings over his last 3 starts, in which he has 18 1/3 innings, 6 hits, 4 walks, 29 strikeouts. The Miz leading Major League Baseball, the co-leader with Christopher Sanchez, 80 strikeouts so far this season in just 51 innings pitched as well. The Miz had a great month of April as well, but on top of it, now since May has turned over, the Miz is really just on another planet. Early Cy Young candidate as well, as we'll see what he can continue to go on, but it's must-watch television with Jacob Mizorowski. Remember last time around, starting the game with 10 straight fastballs over 102 miles an hour. And I wanted to give you some of this from the Baseball Tonight podcast with Buster Only. Jacob Mizorowski was on. Connor Griffin popped in to ask him a question. It's about 11 minutes long, and I cut it down to 5 for us just to get a little idea. You can go check out the full thing over at Baseball Tonight. Here is Jacob Mizorowski with Buster Only earlier this week.
You mentioned after that start you had against the Yankees that you were feeling adrenaline in that game. Sort of try to describe what that feels like when you have that. How can you tell?
I mean, to be honest, your heart starts racing. You kind of feel like, like that butterfly, like feeling like whenever, I don't know, something happens and, your heart just starts going and you kind of just like float. It's fun. It's a lot of fun.
What the first time when you're warming up, is that a thing where you're just like you can feel that the ball's coming out a little bit faster?
No, I honestly, the bullpen felt awful and was kind of trying to figure out how I was going to make this game work and, figure it out.
And then what are you someone who, when you throw a pitch during the course of the game, will you glance back at the velocity, just sort of see where you stand?
So we actually have at our home stadium, we have a little velo board in front, literally in front of me. Like it's on the like back wall of the home plate side. So there's always a chance you might see it, but no, I'm not purposely looking for it.
In that game, what was your sense of how hard you were throwing? What was the first feeling you had about that?
I mean, the first feeling was the guys just whiffing on it. I think that was the biggest tell, was the guys weren't, seeing it well. And, I was able to, blow it past them.
When did you first realize that you had a good arm? Remember talking with a pitcher with the Houston Astros named Roy Oswalt, and he talked about he's the younger brother, and he remembers throwing rocks with his brother. And they were trying to hit this tree that was across the road, and he was nailing it before his brother was. And he said he's probably like 7, 8, 9 years old. When did you first realize that you had this?
Oh, it's probably something around that same situation of, me and my buddies were jacking around and throwing rocks at beehives or, wasp nests or something dumb like that. But, no, I think I finally realized it when I was in college, probably my freshman or sophomore year, of like, I got something here when I was getting offers from like D1 schools and stuff like that.
What do you remember about the first time you hit 90 miles per hour, the first time you hit 100 miles per hour?
I honestly don't remember the first time I hit 90. I was probably in high school somewhere, and it just kind of happened. And but the big one was the 100. I remember that because I was in Grand Junction playing the JUCO World Series, and the little radar gun in the outfield didn't have the proper display for popping up 100. So the one where the one should be wasn't there. So it was just a 2-digit board. And I was going 98, 99, and then all of a sudden it was just 00. And it's like, is that 100? So that's my first time I remember seeing it was just 00. So it was kind of cool.
What was your reaction after that, like internally when you see that?
Very, very didn't feel real. It was just like one of those things that you knew it was probably possible, but it just, it didn't feel real.
What are some reactions that you've gotten from opposing players, after at bats? So you bump into a hitter the next day or after a game or somebody about how hard you throw?
Yeah, I think the one that sticks out to me the most is we were playing the Cardinals. I think it was my debut, and then we turn around and we're playing the Cubs, and the Cardinals were also going to Chicago and playing the White Sox at the same time. So we stayed in the same hotel as the team. And I was riding the elevator down with Mason Wynn, and I remember him just saying that, like, my fastball was just like unfair, and like he was joking with me that I need to slow down for him next time, and just good banter. It was fun.
Right. He's not the only National League Central shortstop who pays attention to what you're doing. The other day, we talked to Connor Griffin, and he had this question for you. If you had a chance, what question would you ask Jacob Misiorowski? Given that, my God, the other day he was facing the Yankees throwing 103 miles an hour.
Yeah, I would just ask him, like, what's his body feel like after an outing? Like, does it, how sore does he get after throwing that hard? I mean, his body does some unique things when he's on the mound, and I'd like to know, how he's feeling.
How about it, Jacob?
Yeah, I think it's simple. I think I feel great. My body's not all tensed up, and so it's really relaxed and able to get into these positions that it needs to fire and work. But no, honestly, I think I've come a long way with the how I throw and being able to be deliberate with every throw. That it's pretty good.
Fun interview there with Jacob Mizorowski and Buster Only. Wanted to play just a little bit of it here for you and not spoil the whole thing. Baseball Tonight podcast. If you want to go wrap up that with Jacob Mizorowski speaking on some cool stories there on his recent pitching performance to that point when he was pitching against the Yankees at that time. First time hitting 100. Jacob Mizorowski going up against the Chicago Cubs today, a team that does have some history against the Miz. As career against Jacob Mizorowski, some guys in the lineup here. Nico Horner is 2 for 6. Michael Busch 2 for 6 as well. Ian Happ's 1 for 8. Seiya Suzuki, the only man who has taken Jacob Mizorowski yard. He has 1 home run, 2 for 7 in his career. Dansby Swanson, Pete Crow Armstrong are combined 0 for 11 with 7 strikeouts between those two. It'll be the first time Ballesteros and Amaya see the Miz. On the other side of things, against Ben Brown, Jackson Churio 0 for 8. Bryce Terang 2 for 7. Contreras 3 for 9, the best performer in the Brewers lineup against Brown. Christian Yelich is 1 for 9. Garrett Mitchell, will be seeing him for the first time as Bowers is 0 for 2. Rengifo 0 for 1. And Sal Frelick 1 for 7. When David Hamilton will be up, he will face him for the first time as well. Coming up, we're going to get into a parlay for the people. We have an update on the minor leagues, what's going on with the Brewers Farm affiliates. We'll get to our keys to the game and more previewing of Game 2 Brewers Cubs at Wrigley. It's the leadoff show. Tommy Wortz here with you live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Looking up, and it is gone.
It's almost time for the first pitch. Let's see who's in today's starting lineups. Brought to you by Lakeland University. Experience it your way. Visit lakeland.edu. It's the leadoff show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Welcome back to the leadoff show. Tommy Wortz here with you live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Brewers lineup, in case you missed it from earlier in the day. Jackson Churio going to lead things off, play left field for Milwaukee. Bryce Terang at second base will also bat second. William Contreras behind the dish, batting third. Christian Yelich, the DH, will bat fourth today. Garrett Mitchell in center field will bat fifth. Jake Bauers at first base will bat sixth. Luis Rengifo is at third. He bats seventh today. Sal Frelick is in right field, batting eighth. David Hamilton, the shortstop, rounds things out, bats ninth for the Crew.
The key to building a winner in baseball is a strong minor league system. Who are the names we should know? How did they play in their last game? It's time for Building a Winner. It's the leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Yes, time for another Building a Winner feature right here on the leadoff show, talking about Brewers affiliates. A couple of games final today, still waiting first pitch for Biloxi and Wilson. But that doesn't mean we can't talk a little bit about some of the other action that happened just a couple of hours ago.
Nashville Sounds.
Nashville, Akil Baddoo leading off for the Sounds. They won 6-5 today. Baddoo 1 for 4 on the day on his rehab assignment. Cooper Pratt went 1 for 5. Luis Lara, a multi-hit game, 2 for 4 in the contest. Jet Williams, 0 for 5. Jefferson Caro, 0 for 4. Freddie Zamora, a big 3-run homer in the 9th inning that would tie the game and make it 5-5. And then the Sounds added on one more, closed out by the Sounds. They pick up their 27th victory, I believe 8th in a row now, and more to come on some Nashville Sounds from an article from Adam McCalvey earlier today. Let's go over to High A.
Wisconsin Timber Rattlers.
And the T-Rats also won 6-4. Braylon Payne was 2 for 5 in the game. He hit 2 homers, his 10th now on the year. Andrew Fisher was tied with Braylon Payne, and he would hit his 11th home run on the season. He went 3 for 5, a big day for the Brewers' top prospects there. Josh Adamszewski, he went 1 for 3 in the game. Eric Patanti, 1 for 3, and Josiah Ragsdall, 2 for 4 in the contest, as the T-Rats now 21-16, second in the Midwest League. I wanted to get to this article from Adam McCalvey that I think sums up pretty nicely on what the Brewers are looking for and looking towards now with 2 different prospects. Adam McCalvey covering the Brewers on MLB.com, of course, talking about the pieces are all there for the Brewers to make significant changes in the interest of offense. The question is when they will make a move. So going into the game on Monday, no team in the National League was getting less offense from the left side of the infield this season than the Brewers, who are the only NL club without a single home run from a third baseman yet this season. On top of that, the left side of the infield, a combined OPS of 565. The only team with a worse OPS from the left side of the infield. Give you a hint. You know this because it's Caleb Durbin's Boston Red Sox. So it wasn't like getting rid of Durbin. Oh, that made a difference. No, Durbin still has not played well either. However, McCalvey goes in then. 2 MLB pipeline top prospects being candidates. Jet Williams, the Brewers' number 3 prospect, and Cooper Pratt, the Brewers' number 4, have both been on fire at the AAA level. Now, of course, the Brewers have invested in Cooper Pratt, $50 million in a long-term extension, and he is on the 40-man roster, which would probably make this an easy choice. Cooper Pratt, so far this season, 232 average, 353 on base percentage, a 733 OPS now in the minor leagues this year. However, Jet Williams, 5 home runs this year, 248 average, 375 on base percentage, and a 787 OPS so far in AAA. Both a decent sample size now, and the Brewers wondering what is going to be, quote, the tipping point in when they make a decision. Pat Murphy saying there is no answer on that. It's a combination of so many things, including the needs of the major league club. I used to think the point where this player is just absolutely ticked. What else do I have to show? This is ridiculous. When he's at that point, maybe he's ready. That's what I used to think. But now I've seen so many young guys come up and fit in pretty well and do well. So for me, there really is no right time. They all can do it. All of those guys can come here and contribute. It's how consistent can they be, and how do they handle the mental stress? How do they handle joining a new club and fitting into the new group and understanding their role? All eyes on them. You guys are talking to them all the time. It's the new shiny toy. It's a lot to handle, and there is no real way to know. However, from April 25th through Sunday, here is some of the snapshots that you guys should know about Jet Williams and Cooper Pratt. In that time, since April 25th, Jet Williams is hitting 333. Cooper Pratt is hitting 304. They both have 87 plate appearances on the dot, the exact same sample size from both of them. In that time, Jet Williams, 2 more hits, 23-21. He's come around to score 10 more times, 23-13. Total bases, 44 for Jet Williams, 41 for Cooper Pratt. The difference, 1 single and a double. Jet Williams, 5 doubles, Cooper Pratt, 4, each of them with 2 triples, 4 home runs. Pratt has driven in more runs, 18-15. Each have 14 walks. They both have struck out 12 times for Jet Williams, 11 for Cooper Pratt, and they each have 5 stolen bases. I mean, they have had identical stat lines virtually since April 25th. A 460 on base percentage for Jet Williams, 430 for Cooper Pratt. Slugging 638 is Jet, 594 for Cooper Pratt. OPS of 1.098 for Jet Williams, 1.024 for Cooper Pratt. For a sample in the majors, what has happened in that same time frame? Well, Joey Ortiz is hitting 211. David Hamilton is hitting 209. Luis Rengifo is hitting 241. An on-base percentage for Ortiz at 289, 261 for David Hamilton, 302 for Luis Rengifo. The OPS during that stretch, 631 for Joey Ortiz, 578 for Luis Rengifo, and 517 for David Hamilton. Now, we had Jack Stern on earlier today on the Mason Crosby show, and he had basically said that David Hamilton, even though some of the numbers may point to it being the least amount contributed to this Major League Ball club, probably the last option to leave the big league squad, just based on his ability to play multiple positions, his speed being so plus and elite, and he has shown that he can get on base. He just hasn't had a good stretch since April 25th. Now the decision will become Joey Ortiz or Luis Rengifo. While Rengifo's bat, you would think, in reality, could provide to be more beneficial for the Milwaukee Brewers. Joey Ortiz playing a more premium position of shortstop and the flexibility to go to third base, in which we've seen for a full season of work as well. Jet Williams, a little more flexibility to play third base, probably, whereas Cooper Pratt, you just paid him. You want him to play shortstop. That seems like the plan. So you be the judge. Should it be Jet Williams? Should it be Cooper Pratt? If I was picking on what I think is going to happen, it's a lot easier for Cooper Pratt because he's already on the 40-man. You bring him up. Does that mean you send down Joey Ortiz? He's got 2 minor league options. Playing a little bit better as of late, but only time will tell. Great piece from Adam McCalvey. Go check it out on MLB.com. Coming up, a parlay for the people, some words from Jake Bauers as well, and keys to the game as we get ready for game 2 between the Brewers and the Chicago Cubs today. 6:40 first pitch from Wrigley Field. And immediately after the last pitch, make the switch back to the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show with Tim Allen and myself, as we'll be breaking it all down right here on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network. The leadoff show live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Counting down the minutes to the first pitch of today's game. Who's in the starting lineup?
Come on, son. You got to get out there and take the mound. It's game time.
What does the skipper have to say?
It's an attitude. Like you got to be willing to defend. You got to be willing to base run, or you can't play here.
It's the leadoff show with Tommy Wortz on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, getting ready. We are just about 40 minutes away from first pitch at Wrigley. Jacob Mizorowski going up against Ben Brown. Brewers, Cubs, game 2 of a 3-game set as the Brewers took game 1, 9-3 over Chicago. Here's the lineup trying to get game 2 for the Crew.
Looking up, and it is gone.
It's almost time for the first pitch. Let's see who's in today's starting lineups. Brought to you by Lakeland University. Experience it your way. Visit lakeland.edu. It's the leadoff show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Lineups for both squads today, just in case you missed any of them earlier in the show. Nico Horner at second base to lead off for Chicago. Michael Busch at first base will bat second. Alex Bregman, the third baseman, will bat third. Ian Happ, Seiya Suzuki, Moises Ballesteros. That is the 4-5-6 in left field, right field, and DHing today for Chicago. Dansby Swanson at shortstop will bat seventh. Pete Crow Armstrong in center field will bat eighth. Miguel Amaya behind the dish for Chicago. Jackson Churrio's in left field leading off for the Crew. Bryce Terang at second base will bat second. William Contreras behind the dish bats third. Christian Yelich, the DH, batting fourth today. Garrett Mitchell in center field will bat fifth. Jake Bowers at first base will bat sixth. Luis Rengifo at third. Sal Frelick in right field batting eighth. And David Hamilton, your starting shortstop, bats ninth for Milwaukee.
Let's get the latest on today's odds for the game. What's the best way to go? Let's check in with our expert from the Potawatomi Sportsbook to find out. It's the leadoff show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Betting odds courtesy of the Potawatomi Sportsbook, as they are each and every day. Great friends of the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network, and of course, the title sponsor of the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show immediately after each and every Brewers game this season. Brewers minus 127 on the money line. Minus 1.5 will get you plus 140, courtesy of Potawatomi. And the over-under set at 7.5 today. Oof. Big difference from the 10.5 number we saw yesterday. Let's go to the pitcher props. Jacob Mizorowski's over-under set at 7.5 today. Oof. For strikeouts, I love it. Taking the over on Miz strikeouts at 7.5. Total bases, I kind of like Bryce Terang over 1.5. Feels like he's due. And Jake Bowers, can we put him in the hit parlay? Let's see. What is it to get a hit today for Jake Bowers? We're going to do that. Okay. The reason why we're putting Jake in there, he's on a 9-game hitting streak right now. He's hitting .438 in that stretch. Has 2 homers, 8 runs driven in, a 500 on base percentage. His OPS sitting at 1281. His career high streak is 10 games. We got to root for it. Jake, 10-game hitting streak for Jake Bowers. That will be the case after today. Pays 7-1, courtesy of the Potawatomi Sportsbook. If Jacob Mizorowski goes over 7.5 strikeouts, Bryce Terang over 1.5 total bases, and Jake Bowers to record a hit, you place $5 on that. You win 35, courtesy of the Potawatomi Sportsbook. If you guys are not watching games over at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, I'm going to tell you why right after we hear from Jake Bowers, as he was on MLB Network talking about what he has changed in the batter's box during his time this season with the Crew.
What is the difference between you now and Cleveland gave you a little bit of an opportunity, but now you're getting a chance. You got traded, bounced around a little bit. What's the difference between that player and the player now? Is it just opportunity, or what happened with the growth? What's the difference?
I think a lot of it comes down to clarity in the batter's box. I spent years and years thinking about mechanics, worrying if my swing was right, and it's hard to hit in the major leagues when you got that going on in the back of your head. So really just tried to boil it down, get it as simple as possible, and that's see the baseball, hunt the inside part of it, man. Me and Jason Lane have been talking about it a lot over the last 3 seasons now, so just really committed to that, and brings a lot of clarity when you're in the batter's box.
And the numbers bear that out. I want to compare Jake Bauers now to Jake Bauers in 2023 with the New York Yankees. Look at your screen right here. Your bat speed up, your whip percentage way down. You're not chasing anywhere near what you were chasing with the New York Yankees, and you are attacking the four-seam fastball. You are crushing the heater. That kind of adds up to you're just simplifying and trying to find a fastball to crush. Is that the Jake Bauers approach to hitting now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm always on heater. I'm never not on heater. I figure if I can control my weight, that I'll be able to sit back on off speed or just take it if I don't think I'm in a good spot to hit it. So I'm always on fastball. I'm always trying to take a fastball away from a guy, and if I can put a good swing on it, then that's the goal.
There is Jake Bauers from MLB Network earlier today. Jake Bauers in the hit parlay today to record a hit to get to a career high of 10 games if he is to get that today. Jacob Mizorowski, the over of 7.5 strikeouts, seems like a criminally low number at this point, as the Miz has only not hit 8 strikeouts in a game twice now, making his 10th start of the season. In his last 4-5 games, here we go, 10, 11, 8, 9, 9. He hit 5 strikeouts against Toronto in 5 1/3, 7 strikeouts against Tampa Bay, in which he went 6 innings. That was all the way back on the 1st of April. So 7.5 strikeouts seems like that should be a number for Jacob Mizorowski to hit pretty handedly today. And Bryce Trang leading the Brewers with 10 doubles, 1.5 total bases is his line. Put all those together, pays 7-1, courtesy of the Potawatomi Sportsbook. And the Potawatomi Sportsbook, a bunch of screens, like 1,000 square feet or 2,000 square feet of screens for you to go watch at your own pleasure of a bunch of different sporting events going on. But if you went to go watch the Brewer game today, it's going to be on the biggest screen there. It's not like you can't see the Brewer game by any means. Go ahead, go to the Potawatomi Sportsbook, place a wager on the game. And if you are there to watch the game, you get paid out immediately at the counter. Easy enough. My guy, Austin Herdina, hooking it up over there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. If you were to go on a game day, place that same day wager on the Brewers, for instance, something like Jacob Mizorowski over 7.5 strikeouts, Bryce Trang over 1.5 total bases, and Jake Bauers to record a hit. You can then place that same day wager and take their shuttles to and from the game. They'll take you to American Family Field like this weekend, this Dodger series this weekend. Absolutely should be using the Potawatomi Sportsbook shuttle service, as they will get you to American Family Field. You go watch them beat the Dodgers, and then you come back and you get to end your night over at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. It is the only shuttle service that offers an opportunity to pay you to drive it, to take it, whatever it is. You can do food, you can do drink, and get a wristband that way. Easy enough. If you don't want to place a wager, they have great food options. The drinks over there at the Potawatomi Sportsbook, fantastic, and a brand new menu that just kicked off last week as well. The one more time, the parlay for the people, over 7.5 strikeouts, over 1.5 total bases for Bryce Terang, and a Jake Bauers to record a hit. That'll pay plus 700, courtesy of the Potawatomi Sportsbook. The Miz this year, let's go look at some other betting odds here, because there was an all MLB team first half that was announced today, voted on, I believe, by MLB Network or something along those lines. Here is the first team poll from 7 hours ago at the MLB. The catcher is Shea Langoliers over in Sacramento. You can't say, for the Athletics. There you go. Matt Olson in Atlanta. Bryce Terang was the second baseman to start it off. Jose Ramirez at third. Bobby Witt Jr., the shortstop, rounds out the infield. The outfield looks like Aaron Judge, Juan Soto, Mike Trout, Yordan Alvarez, the DH. Woof, that's crazy. The pitchers, however, they did have a 5-man rotation. Paul Skeens, Shohei Ohtani, Cam Schlittler, Christopher Sanchez, and one Jacob Mizorowski, also on that all MLB first team poll from MLB.com. Mason Miller and Cade Smith, the two relievers. Would love to go back and look here, courtesy of the Potawatomi Sportsbook. We're going to go look at some futures because the NL Cy Young, I had a couple of starts ago said plus 2,600 for Jacob Mizorowski. Sure felt like insane value at that time. He is now down to plus 800 to win the NL Cy Young. If you threw that into the parlay today, it does pay plus 7,550. Wow. Okay. Yeah. 7,500 to 1 odds on that to wait for it. But Jacob Mizorowski's value on winning the Cy Young going further and further down, still 8 to 1. I think that's a great price over at the Potawatomi Sportsbook. Say hi to Austin, Luis, whoever you might see over there. Tell them you know Tommy from the leadoff show, or Tim Allen from the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show. That'll probably get you more and a longer way for sure. The Brewers gearing up for Game 2 against the Chicago Cubs today. Brewers are 10-4-1 in series play in 2026. Game 2, however, has been the bugaboo for Milwaukee. They are 11-5 in Game 1s, 8-7 in Game number 2s. Even though the Sportsbook, I believe, gave them the favorable odds today at minus 127, courtesy of the Potawatomi Sportsbook. The Brewers have struggled in Game 2s thus far this season, but now a chance to right the ship, and you get a guy like Jacob Mizorowski, and then you can have Kyle Harrison, a chance to go for the sweep against Chicago, would be big stuff. Another thing to note today, forgot to mention this until now, but in Milwaukee, it is a local Fox 6 game. So you got, if you were planning, hey, I got to leave, I got to get out of here to go find somewhere to watch the game. On top of that, it is on local television today. I know people like to mention that because just wait. When's the next Apple TV game? That's going to be, I think, in August, if I remember correctly. It might be the end of July. Can't remember quite there. But yes, the Brewers are on local television in Milwaukee this year. Another one that I wanted to bring up is the runs by inning for the Milwaukee Brewers this year. Do you have a guess what inning the Milwaukee Brewers perform the best offensively in? Go ahead, I'll give you a half a second. A hint, it was their highest scoring inning yesterday, the fourth inning. The Brewers have scored 43 runs in which their opponents have scored just 24 in that innings. That is the second highest margin they have, because the eighth inning they also do very well. 34 runs the Brewers have scored, while they have allowed just 12 in that time. The Brewers are outscoring their opponents in each inning except for the ninth this season, which when you're winning games at home, you don't get to play during that time. Makes sense. Opponents in the first inning, 19 runs. The Brewers have 29. The Brewers have 18 runs in the second inning. Opponents have scored just 7 runs early in the game. 16 runs in the third to 15 for opponents. 43-24 in the fourth inning. 20-15 in the fifth. 28-20 in the sixth inning. 21-17 in the seventh inning. 34-12 in the eighth. And then Brewers being outscored 23-12 in the ninth inning, as well as the 10th, but who really is counting that by any means? And that gives the Brewers 227 to 160 total. So what is that? 67 run differential on the year. One of the best in all of Major League Baseball. All right. Coming up, going to get to our keys to the game after one more break here on the leadoff show. And we'll take you all the way till 6:30 as the Brewers gear up for Game 2 against the Chicago Cubs from Wrigley Field at 6:40. The leadoff show live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook.
Looking up, and it is gone.
It's almost time for the first pitch. Let's see who's in today's starting lineups. Brought to you by Lakeland University. Experience it your way. Visit lakeland.edu. It's the leadoff show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
All right, one more segment here. The leadoff show live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook, getting you ready for Brewers Cubs Game 2. Jackson Churio in left field for Milwaukee. Bryce Terang at second base. William Contreras behind the dish. That rounds out your top three. Christian Yelich, the DH. Garrett Mitchell in center field. Jake Bauers at first base. That is 4 through 6. Luis Rengifo is at third. Sal Frelick is in right field batting 8th. And David Hamilton, the shortstop, rounds things out for the Crew. He will bat 9th.
Who's hurt? Who's getting close to coming back? Let's check out today's injury report. It's the leadoff show powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
A couple of minor updates on the injury front that I wanted to get to, coming from Todd Rosiak, covering the Brewers for the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel, splitting duties with Kurt Hogue, of course. Todd's turn down in Chicago. Quinn Priester scheduled for 5 innings, 75 pitches in his next minor league rehab start. That going to be with Nashville. Brandon Woodruff will have a 3-inning live BP with 45 to 50 pitches. Priester's next scheduled rehab start May 21st. Woodruff's bullpen on May 22nd. Brandon Lockridge has had his stitches removed from his right knee. That happened today. His estimated return, however, is still mid to late June. And Jared Koenig, 20 pitches scheduled for a live bullpen on Friday as well. All of those updates coming from Todd Rosiak and Adam McCalvey, covering the Brewers for MLB.com.
How does the Crew win today's game? Who needs to step up? Let's find out with the keys to the game. It's the leadoff show on the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network.
Keys to the game, how we always close things out here on the leadoff show. Where I want to go first with this, I got to double check what's happened before. All right. So Jacob Mizorowski this year, as phenomenal as he has been, the Brewers are just 4-5 in games in which the Miz has pitched in this year. So first and foremost, last go around against San Diego, you got to get more than one run of support for the Miz. That's any major league pitcher, by the way. But Jacob Mizorowski, really a 7-inning stellar performance wasted last time around against San Diego. Run support for the Miz late in the ball game and early in the ball game. You need another 6 innings out of the Miz. However, the bullpen very well rested. Guys like Aaron Ashby, DL Hall, McGill, Uribe, all not having to pitch yesterday because of the 4 1/3 from Shane Drowan to close the ball game out yesterday. On the offensive side of things, it's all about staying hot through yesterday from the likes of Christian Yelich, Jackson Churio, a couple of hits as well. William Contreras had 2 hits. Jake Bauers, of course, with his big performance. Terang went 0 for 4, but he's too good of a ball player. He's too good to not have that. So what I am proposing is very similar to yesterday. No runs in the first inning. You don't need to get that crowd involved at Wrigley that quickly in any case. And the Brewers answering first yet again. When the Brewers have scored first in a ball game, they are 16-6 in those ball games. And the other number, when the opponent scores first, they are 11-12. Turns into a coin flip performance. The magic number of 4. The Brewers are 23-4 when they get to 4 runs in a game, and they are 4-14 when they do not reach that number. However, the Brewers do have one of those games, 2 of those games. Oh, it just looks like one. One of those games when Jacob Mizorowski was on the bump, that was against Toronto, in which Miz went 5 1/3, 2 earned runs, and just 5 strikeouts in that game. The Miz has been lights out since the start of May. Would love to have that continue here. So a big day from Jacob Mizorowski and the offense continuing to ride the hot hand in Wrigley. That's going to do it for us here on the leadoff show. However, we are not done with Brewers baseball coverage by any means, as immediately after the last pitch, you make the switch over to the Potawatomi Sportsbook post-game show with Tim Allen and me, as we'll be breaking down all things Brewers Cubs game 2 after hopefully another marvelous Miz performance, or maybe it'll be a couple of home runs hit into the baskets at Wrigley Field for the likes of a Churio, a Terang, a Yelich, a Bowers. It doesn't matter how they happen. But Luis Rengifo and Joey Ortiz and David Hamilton all need an eye on them, as well as we've already known through 45 games into this season. They have not lived up to their to what they are expected to. And you can say however low your expectations are for any of those guys. What we read off with Cooper Pratt and Jet Williams is that June 1st is going to be a very good deadline on whether or not those 3 are still the same 3 on the left side of the infield for the Milwaukee Brewers in some configuration. So keep an eye on those guys as well for keys to the game coming up in some big moments. You're going to need one of them to do that. Rengifo and Hamilton both in the lineup today, batting 7th and 9th respectively. After the last pitch, Tim Allen, myself, we had a great time yesterday. Make sure you guys save the number 414-677-1250. That is the Nicolay Law talk and text line. We will get your guys' calls, your texts, your reactions to hopefully a Brewers victory. Tomorrow, another night game, 6:40. It'll be Kyle Harrison on the bump for Milwaukee going up against Edward Cabrera, the new addition to the Chicago Cubs this past off season. The Brewers looking to get to 10 games over 500 for the first time all season, and a brand new lineup to do that. They have hit just 32 home runs this year. That is fewest in Major League Baseball. However, they have surrendered just 35. That is also the fewest in Major League Baseball. A run differential of 67, as we mentioned from earlier. That is good for 4th in the MLB, 3rd in the National League, just behind the Dodgers and the Atlanta Braves in the National League, and a 3.28 ERA, 3rd lowest in all of baseball behind Atlanta and the Dodgers. I'll see you guys at 9:30 today. I'll be back with the leadoff show at 5 o'clock, 90 minutes of pregame coverage. No one else in the market doing that as well. It is the leadoff show live from the Wisconsin Sports Radio Network studios, powered by the Potawatomi Sportsbook. One more thing before you go. Don't forget, send them home.